Mid-Carolina Speedway, located in the small South Carolina town of Nessus that has a population smaller than some family reunions. But one Saturday a month, from the spring to the fall, that population would double, triple, sometimes quadruple as this sound could be heard throughout the town. A plot of land opened by Paul Steverson would grow into a destination racetrack during the early 2000s as a dedicated team worked to create a facility that would draw top flat track racers from the area and eventually all over the country. Speedy Davis, head of track prep, and a racer himself seen here piloting the number 28, would give Mid Carolina a surface that became known as South Carolina's fastest quarter mile. The shirt says it. Local heroes would be the awe of young riders hoping to hone their craft, and by 2005, word had definitely gotten out. The annual Matt Smoke Memorial would bring past, present, and future champions of AMA professional flat track racing to Mid Carolina Speedway, the highest paying race of the year, and the inaugural running would be won by local hero Garth Brow. Mid Carolina would soon become a destination for top pro riders looking to test prior and after the professional American flat track season. As time would go on, the rider counts at the track started to dwindle, and by the end of 2018, racing had stopped at Mid Carolina Speedway. And aside from a few practices in 2019, the track risked becoming one of America's many lost speedways. Mr. Paul passed away in December of 2021, and following his service, former regulars at the track, Wade Lomas of West Coast Hot Shoes, son Blake Lomas, Fuzzy Hutto, and Lee Blackman all visited the facility. It was during this time that the thought process of bringing back Mid Carolina Speedway began. And throughout 2023 and 2024, tireless efforts would commence by this group and many others to revitalize the track. The bleachers had to be replaced, the track had to be completely resurfaced. The efforts began to seriously pay off as open practices were held, and in February of 2024, American flat track star and now FIM flat track champion Sammy Halbert hosted a flat track school at the racetrack. In June of 2024, racing was back at Mid Carolina Speedway, along with Garth Brow and the iconic 7C machine that claimed so many victories at the track. This bike had been maintained by Lee Blackman and not seen laps at the facility since 2011. Blackman, who has been so pivotal in bringing back the track, and what a comeback it has been.
January of this year, I came out here with a friend looking at the facility to see what it would take to revamp it. The last time Mid Carolina had a race was in 2018, early 19, some practices, and then it has sat dormant. There were pine trees down the back straightaway. The infield, all the electrical was down. We thought at first we just really wanted to create a practice facility for the youth and riders in the area. And then quickly we realized that we could host a race, and we had our first race in June, another in July, and here we are in November, and couldn't be any happier. And great turnout, thanks to so many people, their time and talents. Flat track community really stepped up, brought this place to life. It wasn't money, it was the love of flat track.
Members of that flat track community that helped bring this facility back, the Gerard family, and Easton Gerard, a racer in the Southeast Flat Track Series 85cc and 0 to 200cc class, would help with landscaping and mowing the grass around the grounds. During Easton's 2024 Southeast Flat Track season, he would pick up 6 victories and 2 class championships. But as Mr. Blackman will mention, there are several other hurdles they had to overcome.
One of the biggest hurdles was the racing surface. Here we have more sand, so we had to purchase a lot of clay. Fortunately, again, timing worked out. There was a go-kart track nearby that was closing. We worked to deal with those guys, and Davis Site Works, they hauled 42 loads of clay over to this track, and we rebuilt it and reshaped the track using that dirt, and then we've added more to it. That was the biggest one. The second was electrical. Imagine a place out here that's been left open for years. It's been vandalized, and copper and all the things have been stripped from it. But fortunately, the guys who really put the time in years ago, Lloyd and Mr. Paul, they knew, and they hung a lot of wires overhead. So we just had to go through every pole and go through it in weeks and weeks of different electricians helping. And we got it ready for inspection. And once we cleared the inspection, we have power. The town has been very supportive. They want us to be here, and anything they can help has been great. So it just timing and great people working and volunteering, families that show up on a Saturday and Sunday and work and cut the grass. Some of the kids that are racing today rode the lawnmower last weekend cutting grass. And that's just makes you happy and makes my heart proud. And I really couldn't be happier today when I look around at all these people that came to support the track. So Mid-Carolina has been near and dear to me for years. This is where I got my first start. I started riding here. I showed up with a couple of guys that I was woods riding with on my two-stroke 250 and rode the Nobby class and absolutely fell in love with it. 3 weeks later, I was at the Honda store buying a 450 and getting it set up, and then it's just been a great experience. When I could race more, I traveled and enjoyed it. And we always kept coming back here. And what stands apart this place, it is a purpose-built flat track for motorcycles. It doesn't have barriers and fences, plenty of runoff. We've watched a few kids and riders come off the track today, no problem. They've got plenty of time to regroup and get back on the track. So I think that's probably it. There's a lot of history, you know, from Carr and all the guys that used to come here. I used to sit over here and watch them and help Mr. Paul cook and watch the pros race. And here we are today doing it again. Hope to continue.
Like any racetrack community, Mid-Carolina had the privilege of witnessing riders quite literally grow up at the racetrack.
Had my first motorcycle race out here at Nice's when I was 7 years old. Still at it, still doing it. Back in the day, people like Garth Brow, Newt Irvin, Bubba Sile, those guys were like 10 foot tall to me. I was a little kid and I always looked up to them. Saw some great battles happen. People like Chris Carr and Kenny Coolbeth would come down and practice and tune, and it was always cool to see those guys duke it out, and that always inspired me.
When racing returned in June of 2024, Lomas would be the victor in both pro main events on the night.
That was nice. That felt real good because I had taken a break for a couple years from racing, and that was really one of my first races back in a few years, and everything seemed to work for me. It was a little dry slick, a little smoother track. Pretty similar to how it was. It's a little more pure clay in it. I think it's got a little more grip maybe than it used to. But they've done a good job resurrecting it and adding dirt and making it a good track again. A lot of memories out here. Like I said, my first race was out here, and I was really excited about that.
Been racing since 2005. Actually started right here at Nice's long time ago. There was 3 or 4 of us, Blake Lomas, Staten Lomas, Katie McLean, that were racing 80s and all back here long time ago. But yeah, you know, Dad got me into it. Dad started racing flat track before motocross was even invented. So he's old school, and yeah, he's the one that got me into it, and we've just been having fun ever since. Glad to be back here at Nice's. Like I said, I started here, so it's something that it holds a sentimental place in my heart, and we're happy that Lee Blackman brought it back for us, let us all ride here, and hopefully we can make something out of it. There's a lot of new people in the area that's gotten into it recently, and they all hear about Nice's. You hear how great Nice's was, so they get a chance to see for themselves, and stoke level is high everywhere. They tried to reopen it back in, it was 16 or 17, I think, and it's a lot closer to the old Nice's now than when they opened it then. It's good. It's a motorcycle only track. That's always the first thing that pops into my head when you think about this place. They got plenty of runoff room. There's no walls, and it's one of the few tracks I know of that are just made for flat track motorcycles. You know, we're not borrowing it from another discipline.
While Lomas and Johnson are more experienced riders in the region, there's a groundswell of up-and-coming talent looking to become the new kings of the Carolina clay.
It's been pretty good. It's been, like I said, it was a little rough at first, still trying to figure out the track since this is a new track to me still. So it was a little rough at first, but I think I've I've got it dialed in a good bit.
I think it's really fun. You know, you can um, sometimes during the night it goes down to the one lane, but even then you can figure out how to get around these people. You know, it's not follow the leader most of the time, and you can still pass. So I think it's really fun.
They closed down like right before I started racing. I don't remember the exact year that they closed down, but I do know from people that raced it before me that it was a really good track in the past. You know, sun starts going down, especially when we're around summertime. Sun will go down and the track dries out, but can't prevent that anywhere. You know, two's it's a weird shaped track. It grooves up sometimes it doesn't. It's always different, and that's always great because you get something different every time. It's never the same.
How we came to the finale at Mid Carolina Speedway, number one, Lee Blackman has put in so much effort and work into this place. It's a great track. Lots of people have stepped up to help, whether it's cutting grass or putting up new lights or doing our PA system. And for me, I really feel like this track needs it to sustain, and we're excited to bring a lot of people back to this track that used to know it from the early 2000s. So yeah, I couldn't be more thankful to have the opportunity to be a part of our season finale, which is going to be a banger today.
And the finale was indeed a banger, with top teams in the house, top amateur riders coming in from around the country. Mid Carolina Speedway put on an amazing show to bring a close on the 2024 Southeast Flat Track season. So with the 2024 season in the books, what is next for Mid Carolina Speedway?
We're going to keep going for 2025. The track here at Mid Carolina Speedway is just going to get that much better. And then we've got a few other races in North Carolina set up for next year. We haven't really talked about it yet on social media, but Slammer Time Promotions will be joining us and teaming up on our season opener right here at Mid Carolina Speedway the first weekend of February. So I'm super excited about that. And we're just going to keep growing this thing, man. As long as people keep coming and enjoying racing, we're going to keep doing it.
We're 25, so we're very fortunate that Corey Texter with Mission Foods will have a race here in September. We'll have Southeast Flat Track. We'll have a few races, and then we'll put on a few races ourselves. So if we ran 5 or 6 races, we'd be happy. It's not about the business or trying to do that. It's just we just need to run enough to maintain the property, and we love to have more people come out and experience a purpose-built motorcycle racetrack.
Yes, indeed. Mid Carolina is so back, and we can't wait to see what the future holds here in Nisa, South Carolina. So tell your friends and come be part of this flat track family when Mid Carolina fires its engines in 2025.